What's up, everybody? So this is going to be part one of a two-part video, and I'm going to be talking about, in this first part, what 2024 held, the highlights from 2024, what I felt like I got right, what I felt like I got wrong, and just a recap now that we're nearing the end of the year. And then part two of this video will be a separate video, and I'll be talking about my goals and aspirations and the things that I want to get done in 2025. I think that this is pretty much ending out year 5 in business for myself. If you don't know who I am, that's okay. Most people don't. My name's Chris, and I'm the artist and chainsaw carver behind Busy Wren Creations. And if you found this page by accident, you'll have to go back and check out some of my previous work to kind of see what I'm about. But if you're a follower of mine, you've been following my work for a while, this video will really just be kind of an insight into my mind of the year that I just went through and the year that I have planned for next year. So I'm going to sit here, I've got a glass of scotch, I'm going to enjoy myself, kind of talk through this past year. Hopefully you enjoy this video. If not, apologies. I am posting it to YouTube just so that I can put it out in a longer format, because I have a feeling the video will run long. If you don't stick around for the whole thing, no hard feelings. But it's great for me to get out what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and to talk about just what all this means for me, and what it's going to mean for customers and the folks that I work with going forward. So 2024 marked year 5 in business for Busy Wren Creations. I left my corporate job as a banker, more specifically a grant administrator working in philanthropic trust. It's basically just a fancy way of saying that I gave away rich people's money. It's an oversimplification, but that's essentially what I did. And it definitely had its good moments and bad moments and all those in between. Definitely a hard job, not a job I recommend folks who aren't interested in working a lot and stressing your brain to the max, because that's exactly what it was. But I left that 5 years ago to pursue this dream of being a full-time woodworker. And when I left, I initially started out making spoons. So if you've been following me since the beginning, you know that I started out hand carving spoons. And let me tell you, there is no conversation crazier than the one I had with my wife when I told her that I wanted to leave a stable job with a good corporation to sell spoons. As you might imagine, it was an interesting conversation, to say the least. But I did it. I made that jump. It was a crazy jump, and we did. We went forward with it, and I'm so glad, because I would not be where I'm at today had I not made that decision. And so exclusively for about 6 months, I just made wooden spoons, and then I made cutting boards, and then I got a lathe, and the lathe is really where it took off for me, because I started making things that were less utilitarian and more decorative. So I was doing gnomes and snowmen, and I even made some hand reels, like hobo fishing reels, that were really fun, and all kinds of cool stuff. And so the lathe really allowed me to expand out past spoons, and I did that for about 2 years. Running the lathe pretty exclusively before I picked up a chainsaw and started carving in the lines on the pumpkins that I was turning on the lathe. So if you can imagine this, I was turning the pumpkins on the lathe and then carving in the lines to make them look like pumpkins. And then I was like, what else can I do with this chainsaw? So after watching many YouTube videos, as if you're on YouTube watching this, that's what you do. You go to YouTube, and I watched a few videos on how to use a chainsaw and carve with a chainsaw. And I wasn't new to the tool, so I'd used it for its intended purpose quite a lot as a young adult and as an adult. And so I wasn't new to the tool, so that made it a little less scary. I guess I know a lot of folks have some apprehension about using a chainsaw, and many people feel the same way about a wood lathe. Honestly, if you want to know the one tool that scares me, there's only 2 that have ever really hurt me badly, and that's a grinder and a table saw. Those are the 2 that will get you. But anyway, I started carving trees, and then I figured out, hey, I can carve pumpkins with a chainsaw and not use the lathe, and it's faster. And if it's the one thing you learn very quickly as a business owner, the one commodity and input that is most important overall is time. So when you figure out a chainsaw's faster than a lathe, you just naturally start using the chainsaw more. And so I was doing trees, and then I started to figure out how to make all the things that I was making on a lathe with a chainsaw, and so that I could still meet the demands of the folks who were collecting my work, especially like the little gnomes and snowmen and trees and things like that. And I just grew and grew from there. And so chainsaw carving is fairly new to me. I would say that I've only been a devoted chainsaw carver, like someone who's really focused on it, for about 2 years now. And yeah, I think I've kind of found my niche, at least for the moment, with chainsaw carving. And I can definitely see myself taking my creative vision into all kinds of things. I'd love to learn to weld and to do metal sculpting. And yeah, there's really no end to what I would like to be able to do with my hands and using that creative ambition that I have. So as far as this year's concerned, some pretty big things happened this year. I would say first of which, I really started to come into my own with trying new things and really pushing my boundaries as to what I could carve. And so I pulled off some incredible pieces for myself. I'm not trying to be boastful. These are things that I'm proud of. And so I'll share some pictures here as I'm talking. But these projects were projects that really pushed the boundaries of what I thought I was capable of. I know everyone thinks that, oh, he makes it look so easy, but really, probably the biggest obstacle to overcome as an artist is the obstacle of self-doubt and whether or not you can achieve something, because it just doesn't seem that easy in your head until you actually do it. And I've been very lucky to only have had a very small handful of failures in my creative process, but I've certainly had those, and they were all learning moments. You learn something from all of those projects. But this year's been incredible, with so many incredible projects and commissions and working for customers and creating things for their homes and for their gardens, and just really been an opportunity for me to branch out and to do bigger things and cool things, and that's just been awesome. And then of course, I don't think we could really talk about this year without talking about the thing that happened toward the end of it. And there's going to be a lot of folks who see this video, but this is the reason that you even know that my work exists. And that, of course, would be the article that Our State magazine wrote on my work. Here they are. They're featuring my cardinals. This was a big deal for me because it introduced my work to a whole new group of folks who would otherwise have not seen my work. Because up until then, unless you found my work on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, or you found me at a local show, a craft show, those would have been the places that you would have seen what I was doing. And so this magazine has a huge subscriber base here in our state. If I'm not mistaken, it's over 170,000 subscribers. And so it's a lot of people to see my work and to be introduced to it. And so what happened was at the end of November, my inbox blew up. And so we started receiving messages from all over our state and other states from folks who subscribe to the Our State magazine. And we started fulfilling cardinal orders like you wouldn't believe. I think we probably, within a couple weeks, had just as many orders for cardinals as I had made cardinals in the previous 10 months. So I think you could safely say that 2024 was the year of the cardinal. So if you start from the beginning of my business, you would have had it the year of the spoon, the year of the gnome, the year of the pumpkin, the year of the mushroom, and then I think 2024 would be the year of the cardinal. I think you could safely say 2024 was the year of the cardinal. And so we've blown up, we've gained a ton of Facebook followers, Instagram followers, and more orders than I ever could foresee fulfilling in a short period of time. We've been very lucky, and the past 5 years have been successful for me as a woodworker and an artist, but this Our State thing was just a whole nother experience. And you know, I get asked all the time by other folks who want to make a go at being a full-time woodworker or full-time artist or starting a business of any type. And they always ask, you know, like, well, how did you do it? How'd you pull it off? And I'm not so smug as to think that I had it figured out. I definitely didn't. But I think it takes a few things. And You probably don't have to have all of these, but you definitely need a few of them. And having all of them is great. I think the first thing you have to be successful at something like this is an unhealthy obsession. And that's what I have. I have an unhealthy obsession with creating new things. It's all I think about. It's all I want to do. When I'm not making stuff, I'm thinking about making stuff, or I'm thinking about how to make stuff better. Yeah, it's an obsession that I have. It's a love that I have. And I think you have to have that above all else. The second thing you have to have is a work ethic. And that's just being able to bring yourself to do the work when you don't want to do the work. Because the one thing no one tells you about being a small business owner is that, as opposed to working for someone, no one's telling you when to show up. No one's telling you what to do. You really have to figure it out on your own. You have to force yourself to get up and do the work, because ultimately you can have all the best ideas in the world, but if you don't do the work, you have no product, and you have nothing to sell, and you have no way to support yourself. So you got to be able to do the work. The third thing is you've got to have luck. You have to have luck. You have to have luck that people will see the thing that you're doing, and that it will get to them at the right time, and all has to line up. Now, I will say this: if you are obsessed and you do the work, you will get lucky. I think that's the most important thing for folks to understand. You can't be lucky unless you put yourself in a place to be lucky. And again, I'm not trying to be boastful. I'm just telling you how it's worked for me. I'm obsessed, I do the work, and people discover the work, and that's the luck. Right? They see it, they love it, they share it. In my case, it's Katie, who wrote the article in Our State Magazine, sees my work and decides to share it. And because she is writing articles for Our State Magazine, the way that she shares it is in a big way, right? It's shown to a lot of people, and it's in a physical medium. That's the other thing that I think is really important about this, is that I think we're also caught up in the digital age and social media and all those things. But if you think about it, when you see a post, unless it goes viral and the algorithm just keeps showing it over and over again, that post is gone. I mean, it might still be on your page, but no one's going to see it. I have folks all the time who message me and asking me, have I ever made this, ever made that? Well, if they go back far enough on my feed, they would see it. But no one's got time to go back 2 years into my feed to see something I did 2 years ago. So with this being physical media, it's going to be sitting on a coffee table somewhere and someone's going to read it. It's going to be sitting in a doctor's office and someone's going to see it. It's going to be sitting in a mechanic shop. Someone's going to be waiting to get their oil changed. They're going to see it. And so it's going to have something, it's going to have life where it exists, and who knows? I don't know how long it sits on that coffee table before someone tosses it. But it has a different type of life than social media. But back to the luck part. I wouldn't have had the luck unless I did the work. And I wouldn't have done the work unless I had the obsession. And then the other thing you have to have is you have to have support. You cannot do it alone. You can't. We've had a number of partners over the years, whether it be brick and mortar partners, where we've sold at shops, whether it's been working with show coordinators who've been so gracious to allow me to set up at their shows, their craft shows, whether it be suppliers, folks who have literally given me free material over the years or free logs. Still to this day, I get almost all my material for free. And then the support of friends and family. I have some of the best friends that support my work, refuse to take discounts and buy the things that they love. And then my wonderful family, my kids, my wife, my mom, grandparents, all the people who are supportive. You can't do it alone. So really, I think those are probably the 4 things. You have to be obsessed. You have to do the work. You got to get lucky, and you need support. And looking back over this past year, I've had all those things. And every year, those things just grow. The obsession has not waned. I've worked harder this past year than I think I've ever worked. I think I can owe the Cardinals to that. The Cardinals have definitely pushed me to limits I did not know that I could surpass. And I've had more support this year than I could ever imagine. And I've been luckier than I could ever imagine. So you need all 4 of those things. It wasn't really the intention of this video to talk about the things you need to be successful, but I think they're important. You have to have those things. And as for the year and what I think about it, I think it's been an incredible year with a lot of amazing projects that I've been able to work on, and some awesome opportunities, and a fair bit of luck. So I'm really excited for how 2024 has ended, how it's played out. It's been a great year, and I'm really looking forward to next year. So if you'd like to see and hear the plans I have for 2025, be sure to check out part 2 of this video. You can find it over on YouTube. If you're already on YouTube, you're in the right place. And I'll be sure to share it on my Facebook and Instagram pages as links, so you can go and watch the full video. I think we're about 17 minutes in. Good video, good talk. I'm glad to have gotten this out. Apologies for the drab background. We're doing a little workshop renovation, which is another amazing end to 2024 and start to 2025, is getting this paint studio and office space just the way we want it. And so eventually it'll have lots of natural light, which I'm excited about. But that's another video. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out or drop it in the comments. And as always, I appreciate so much for you watching and for being interested in what I do. Thanks so much. And if you're watching this at the end of 2024, I hope you've had an amazing year, and Happy New Year, and that you have the best 2025 you could possibly wish for. Take care.